A high school in Washington state cancelled its patriotic tribute for 9/11, saying it could offend some students. I'm quoting one student now. He says, "I was fairly upset and confused as to why the theme was changed, so I went around asking students in our leadership. They explained that red, white, and blue was going to be seen as racially insensitive and may affect people in a way that we will not understand, and for that reason, we changed our theme." Jason Rantz broke that story and he joins me now. Why don't you just take me through it? What's the full story? Because I could hardly believe it, Jason.
Oh, I could hardly believe it too when I learned about it. So students at a football game on Friday night were set to wear red, white, and blue clothing. It was to pay tribute to those lives lost on 9/11. And keep in mind, these kids were not even born at that point. And so to accept that role of history and actually take it on and want to do something was actually, I thought, kind of meaningful. And yet they were told that the theme for that game had to be canceled because they didn't have enough time, the school didn't have enough time to tell the opposing team why they would be wearing red, white, and blue. At least that's what the school ended up telling me. And they might be confused or even offended by the colors. Now, what would be offensive about red, white, and blue? Nothing to reasonable people. But when you throw in the whole social justice angle to it, when you get really, really woke, as these high schools tend to be, they take a different look at the flag. They take a different look at how they view this country.
I find it hard to believe even now, but nonetheless, I accept your report. I'm sure it happened. Police department in Seattle could lose, what, 200 police officers because of the vaccine mandate? That's 20% of the force, I believe, the deployable force. They can't afford to lose that many officers, can they?
No. I mean, at that point, if that were to happen, it would be a catastrophic loss. And I say that in the context of the department has already lost a third of its deployable staff since last year because of the defund police activism. So we're already down 300 officers to the lowest deployable staff we've had since the 80s. So on top of that, based on the mandate coming from Mayor Jenny Durkan, if you don't get the jab, you lose your job. Losing 200 or so, we don't know exactly how many would end up giving in and just getting the vaccine, but that would completely decimate this police department at a time where last year we had a 26-year high homicide rate. This year we're at exactly the same point of homicides. So we're on pace to at least match what we saw last year. It is not a safe city right now because of the lack of policing, and this is going to make it worse. At the same time, there's also a state mandate for Washington state troopers, and they're going through very similar issues where not a single one of their religious exemptions will actually be upheld with an accommodation. So they're basically saying, you also get the shot or you're going to be out of a job because we can't accommodate you otherwise.
It just never stops, does it? Jason Rantz, always good stuff. Thanks for being with us today. Much obliged to you, sir.
Thanks, Stuart.
Minneapolis.